A little girl is born covered in birthmarks, and then as soon as she can talk, she starts talking about her memories of dying in a fiery accident in her past life. And then those birthmarks will sometimes go on to ooze and blister like burns. I have so many. I have chills already. This is hands down one of my, I guess, favorite reincarnation cases, just because the level of evidence is astonishing, and everything about this story, some of it is like obviously gruesome and tragic and brutal, but it's just mind-blowing. This is a real case that was documented by doctors and researchers and scientists. My name is Jenn Scott Pickett. I am a certified hypnotherapist. I am a researcher, writer, content creator for consciousness studies like reincarnation, past life memories, near-death experiences. I like the woo-woo stuff. I love paranormal, supernatural, seeing ghosts, having precognitive dreams, lucid dreaming, meeting aliens. I am here for it. So if you have a story, please feel free to submit it to me, especially on my website, jennscottpickett.com, or just hang around and listen to me talk about it, because I love to talk about it. You know how this works. If you're interested in this stuff, like the video and subscribe. Let's talk about it. A little girl in Burma was born with noticeable dark marks across her entire body. By the time she was old enough to speak clearly, she was telling everyone about her past life memories of dying in a fiery truck accident, prompting family members and researchers to wonder if these dramatic birthmarks were evidence of that previous life. She gave them her real name and details of her death. A car had overturned, she even named the driver, and she was burned in flames. Keep in mind, she was only a toddler at the time, less than 3 years old, so yeah, this is some eerie shit. Well, it gets even spookier because a real woman with that name had died exactly the way the child described, about 100 kilometers away, the same year the little girl was born. So, cue the jaw drop. Ma Kin Hassan U. She was born in rural... I can't even say rural correctly. She was born in a rural village on October 11th, 1974. Please note, Burmese names don't follow Western conventions, so shortened versions of names will be used along the way to make it easier for you fuckers to listen, but also for me to actually pronounce. Her parents had no reincarnation expectations, nor had they received what is called an announcing dream, which is a feature that seems present in many other cases heavy with evidence of reincarnation. But once Ma Kin identified herself as Amar Yi and described the vehicle accident that led to her fiery death, it didn't take long to link her to a real person. As if that weren't enough, she would specify, Shiko's car overturned, which is an important detail because naming the driver provided even more of the kind of evidence of reincarnation that could be verified. And for everyone who was quick to say that the little girl was simply coached into her past life claims, stay tuned. First of all, there's no fucking motive for that, and as I'll describe later, we're not dealing with just past life memories, but also the physical evidence of reincarnation, which are the birthmarks matching previous wounds, and behavioral evidence, including an extreme phobia of fire. Let's talk about the death that matched. I'll set the scene, but brace yourself because it's a brutal one. An independent woman, a 30-year-old Ma Amar Yi, found herself on the back of a large truck in the wee hours of March 24th, 1974. She was unmarried and often described as a feisty type woman with a sharp tongue who wasn't afraid of anyone. Naturally, I liked her immediately. Her mother also said that Amar Yi was unusually pious, extremely clean, and fond of cosmetics. Believe it or not, these details are important and they come into play later to further our evidence of reincarnation. For work, Amar Yi was a trader, and like the other 11 merchants in the back of the vehicle with her, she was hitchhiking to another town to purchase cloth. The truck was transporting boxes of refined sugar covered with a tarp, and then the passengers sat on top, most of them sleeping. Again, it's the middle of the night. Around 2 a.m., a back wheel came off, and the driver, a man named Shiko, panicked. He lost control of the vehicle and it overturned, pinning most of the passengers either beneath it or beneath the heavy boxes it was carrying. And then it got even worse. Some of the passengers had already been crushed to death, but the survivors were calling for help. Villagers rushed to the scene. They were carrying kerosene lamps and torches, not knowing the gas tank had been broken and gasoline was pouring out. The passengers screamed for them not to get too close, but it was too late. The gasoline ignited, the fire brigade arrived too late to save anyone. While the driver and his assistant made it out alive, along with 2 others who had been thrown from the truck, the remaining 10 passengers died either from being crushed or burned or both. There is a direct quote, and it is so fucking tragic. Ugh. It said that the bodies had become, quote, stuck on the road with melted road tar and molasses. They had to be removed by spade work. So, yeah, basically they had to be scraped off the road. I am sorry for putting that image in your head, but honestly, I couldn't suffer alone. As you already know, the child's body was covered in dark marks. The family, as well as researchers such as Dr. Ian Stevenson, believe that the birthmarks may have corresponded to burn injuries from the fatal accident. And if you really look at the image, I mean, oh my goodness. What strengthened their case is that some of the birthmarks were textured and raised, almost resembling old burn scars or healed skin lesions. Furthermore, as the girl grew older, some of the dark skin patches would occasionally become inflamed, developing painful, boil-like infections that required medical treatment. Birthmarks that develop burn-like blisters on a child with past life memories of dying in a fiery crash? Do you have a billion chill bumps right now, or is that just me? Investigators interviewed the little girl directly, multiple times, as well as her parents and other family members. They were also able to interview the deceased woman's mother, one of the survivors of the wreck, and 2 people who witnessed the horrific event. While Dr. Stevenson never saw the body directly, he conjectured it may have been splattered with burning oil or sugar. That seems reasonable. The deceased woman's mother confirmed the pattern of the birthmark seemed to match the burns on her daughter. Additionally, the survivor of the wreck who was tasked, this is a terrible task, was tasked with identifying the bodies at the morgue. He went on record to say that many parts of Amar Yee's body were burned, but her face was mostly unaffected, as is also the case with Ma Kin's birthmarks. This is why it was so easy for him to identify her. Of course, at the time, no one was viewing the corpse with the intention of one day thinking, oh goodness, these burns may match the patterns of a future baby's birthmarks. But still, we've got 2 witnesses saying they were pretty fucking similar. In most documented cases, these children are not merely reciting rote facts about their past lives. And the same is true for this kid, who truly identified with the deceased woman. She really believed she'd been Amar Yee, and she had personality traits that seemed to confirm it. The most striking evidence was her fear of fire. She would lose her mind if a family member lit a kerosene lamp inside the house. And can you blame her? Or if someone added wood to an outdoor fire, causing the flames to get too high for her comfort. This phobia persisted even as some of her memories dimmed. Which I think is an interesting side note, that there are plenty of kids who exhibit phobias that have no obvious origin in this lifetime, and so even though they don't have past life memories per se, it does make you wonder where some of these phobias come from. Now, something our girl wasn't afraid of, she was not afraid of confronting other kids. There were times when she was teased for her birthmarks. Kids would taunt her and then run off and hide. Her reaction? She would chase them down, pull them from their hiding spots, and fight them. You know what? You go, girl. Now, think back to how the deceased woman was described by people who knew her best. A pious, extremely clean, sharp-tongued, feisty woman who loved cosmetics. While Ma Kin did not seem to show a particular level of piety, she did have a penchant for cosmetics, eagerly donning lipstick and nail polish. She was also described as unusually clean for a, quote, village kid. I don't know if that's a slight. Causing people to comment on the lack of dirt under her nails. For real, I laugh every time I read that. The kid's favorite game to play? She loved to pretend to be a trader, which, yeah, was the previous personality's occupation. At 12 years old, she was telling people about how she'd been on her way to buy more cloth on the day she died. There is one more thing we have to address. For some people, they can accept the reincarnation aspect, but they get hung up on one tiny detail. The fact that the kid's mom was already 2 months pregnant when Amar Yee died in the fire. Others will be quick to use this detail to dismiss the case entirely, but not so fast, my skeptical-minded friends. Seriously, I love you guys. And if you even caught on to that seeming discrepancy with the timeline in the first place, you get extra points from me. While it's logical to think that this case can't be evidence of reincarnation if the baby was conceived before the first woman died, that is based on the assumption that time is linear and that a soul has to enter a body at the moment of conception, 2 things that a lot of spiritual teachers dispute. And I have a whole fucking post dedicated just to that if you want to deep dive it. The Seth material with Jane Roberts basically said that the soul is not trapped within the fetus at conception, but forms the physical connection gradually, and that consciousness remains partially independent from the body even after birth. In books like Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton, his patients describe souls entering the body at various times, sometimes during pregnancy, sometimes right before birth, sometimes in the middle of the birth, and sometimes not until after the birth. And don't even get me started with Dolores Cannon, who's the author of Between Death and Life, among many other books. She not only talked about delayed entries and souls checking in and out on the fetus, she also discussed walk-in souls, which is a theory that a soul can leave its body and let another soul take its place, not during birth, but during midlife. And by midlife, I mean like a 5-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 45-year-old. Dr. Stevenson has a case that seems to imply it's a walk-in soul situation. If you want to learn more about that, I do have posts on that as well. And that's going to be the case Jasbir Singh. I will include a link for that in the description. The accumulation of evidence. I know some of you will still be skeptical, and I get it, but what makes cases like this so compelling is not just one strange detail, it's the accumulation of them. We're talking memories, phobia, the personality traits, all tied to a real person, not to mention the motherfucking birthmark. Whatever the explanation may be, it's difficult to read cases like this and not wonder that somehow human consciousness does indeed survive the body. If you're interested in learning more about reincarnation and you enjoy my particular style, be sure to check out my new mini book, Reincarnation Explained Without Religion. It is intentionally written in an easy to digest way. It's something you can sit down and finish in less than 3 hours. Plus, I try to keep the price under $5, and you can even read it free with Kindle Unlimited.